Hi lovelies, I am so glad you're here because today I am sharing my family's new favorite dinner recipe. It is this absolutely incredible creamy tortellini soup. It's quick, it's easy, it's super flavorful and also super filling. Plus it is totally child approved, at least according to Elle. And it's become such a hit in our household that we're literally having it once a week at least. To get started, I have got a nice big pot heating up on the stove, and I'm just going to add some oil to that. And just as soon as that oil is nice and hot, I'll go ahead and add some mild Italian sausage to the pot. Now this is actually some mild Italian turkey sausage, something that I have been loving these days, but if you wanted to use traditional pork sausage in this recipe, you definitely could. You could also opt for hot Italian sausage instead, or opt for just some ground chicken in this recipe. It's really, really versatile, so whatever you prefer, you can definitely use. You also have the option to leave the meat out of this recipe entirely if you wanted to, totally up to you. And once my sausage is in the pan, I'm just going to go ahead and use my spoon to break it up into little bits. I wanna cook it until it's no longer pink. The good news is the sausage takes almost no time to cook. As soon as your sausage is fully cooked through, you can start to add the rest of your ingredients. So first up, I have got some onion headed in here, as well as a nice thinly sliced carrot. We're gonna let those cook up with the sausage for another, say, 3 or 4 minutes, just until they start to soften. And then I'm also going to be adding some minced garlic to this, as well as a good helping of Italian seasoning. I'm using store-bought Italian seasoning here, but if you wanted to make your own, I have a great recipe for homemade Italian seasoning that I will link in the description box below. It's really, really easy to make, and then you always have some on hand in your pantry. And just as soon as that garlic and that Italian seasoning becomes nice and fragrant, which takes no time at all, we're gonna go ahead and add a few tablespoons of flour to this. And the flour is just gonna help things thicken up a little bit and give us a nice, rich, creamy texture in our soup. I like to go ahead and let my flour cook for another 30 seconds to a minute, just to sort of work off that floury taste. Pretty simple so far, right? Trust me guys, I am all about keeping things simple in the kitchen right now. This one has been keeping me up all night, and so the less effort I spend in the kitchen, the happier I am. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add our broth. I'm using a nice chicken broth here. We're just gonna go ahead and add that to our pot and let it cook until our broth comes to a good boil. So just as soon as you start to see those bubbles breaking the surface, you can go ahead and add your tortellini to this. So I'm using some fresh cheese tortellini. You could use frozen tortellini in this recipe, absolutely, it would totally work here. What I love about, it would totally work here. What I love about using tortellini in a recipe like this is that it cooks in no time, literally 4 or 5 minutes in this nice hot broth, and it's going to be perfectly tender and ready to be enjoyed. Now that our pasta is fully cooked through, there are only a few more steps before we get to enjoy this amazing soup. First up, we want to add some richness and some creaminess to this, and I'm going to do that with some cream. Now, you also have the option to use milk in this recipe, but I find the cream really adds a ton of beautiful richness here, so that's what I'm using. At this point, you'll want to season it up with a little salt and a little pepper to taste. And the final step is just going to be stirring in some greens, because of course we could all use more greens in our life. Today, I'm using a heaping helping of baby spinach. I'm just going to get it all into my pot and give it a good stir until it's totally wilted, which only takes about a minute or so. And at this point, guys, this yumminess is ready to be devoured. And trust me, devoured is exactly what it's going to be when your family gets to it. Come on guys, tell me this wasn't one of the easiest soups I've ever made here on the channel, but also one of the most delicious looking and smelling for that matter. It smells incredible in here. I really hope you guys will give this one a try for yourselves. And if you do, don't forget to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a photo, because you know how much I love seeing your kitchen creations. Remember, this recipe, like all of my recipes, is featured on healthymealplans.com, our amazing meal planning site that allows you to browse more than 1,000 recipes, drag and drop them into your weekly meal plan, and then automatically generates your grocery list for the week. What could be easier? As always, thank you so much for watching. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.